What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a really creepy, mysterious case. The paranormal can be highly debated whether you believe it or not, but after this, you might start believing. What if I told you there was a woman who solved her own death from the grave? Something that seems straight out of a movie. But before the video starts, make sure you guys like the video if you enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't. With all that out of the way, let's get started with the video. Teresita Basa was born in the Philippines in 1929. She had moved to the United States in the 1960s to pursue music. She later became a respiratory therapist at Edgewater Hospital in Chicago, Illinois. Teresita was a person who kept to herself and was just very quiet. She only had a close few friends and never went out or caused any trouble. No one expected her to be a victim of a violent crime. One day at 10 p.m., on the night of February 21st, 1977, the fire department was called to put out a fire in her apartment. In the middle, in the living room floor, lay a pile of fabric, set ablaze and giving off a thick black smoke. In the blaze, they found her nude body burning under a mattress with a knife in her chest. She was only 47 years old at the time of her death. Investigators believe the fire had been set to cover up the murder. There was evidence that she could be a victim of a sexual crime. The autopsy, however, determined that she had not been sexually assaulted. There seemed to be no apparent motive behind the crime. The two detectives that were on the case, Joe Stachula and Lee Eplin, had very little to work with. The investigators had trouble finding physical evidence, as most of it was destroyed in the fire. But there was one piece of evidence that was found. It was a memo that stated, "Get tickets for AS." So pretty much AS was the initial of somebody. The police pursued several leads during the investigation, but they all were just eventually dismissed. They suspected that AS may have been involved in the crime, but they unfortunately didn't know what the initials stood for. But one person, her boyfriend, who she's been arguing with lately, was considered a possible suspect, but he was quickly ruled out. It had been 5 frustrating months, and the case just grew colder and colder. Dr. Joe Chua, a surgical assistant in another Chicago hospital, hadn't known Teresita Basa personally, but his wife, Remy, was aware of Teresita and her murder. But they weren't close, just somewhat acquaintance. But for some reason, the case just stayed on Remy's mind. One night, she began having visions and dreams in which Teresita appeared to her, begging her to go to the police and tell what had happened to her. She assumed that she was having dreams of Teresita because she just kept thinking about the case and the murder. But a couple days later, Remy had took a nap, and her husband Joe heard her speaking in another voice. The voice said that she was Teresita. The voice told Joe that her killer's name was Alan Showery, someone who also worked at the hospital with her. The voice then told Joe Alan had taken Teresita's jewelry after murdering her, and after the murder, he had given it to his girlfriend. She urged Joe to please go to the police, but when he didn't, Teresita apparently possessed Remy for a second time, asking why hasn't he went to the police yet. Remy then woke up and couldn't even remember what had happened. If I was Remy's husband, I would be so freaked out about that whole incident. Detective Stachula did not know if he could trust this information or not. He decided to do a background check on Showery. He found out Showery lived close to Teresita. Coworkers confirmed that he was supposed to go to Teresita's house that night to fix her TV. The detective then brought Showery in for questioning. He didn't want to answer any questions, but he eventually did. He did confirm that he went to her house to try to fix her TV, but he claimed that he didn't have the tools to do so. So apparently he just went back home. But Stachula did not believe any of this. So then Stachula then contacted Showery's girlfriend. He asked if Showery had given her jewelry recently. She then confirmed that he had given her jewelry. She agreed to let Teresita's friends and family inspect it. They confirmed that some of it was Teresita's jewelry. They then confronted Showery with the evidence. Showery confessed to Teresita's murder. He said after he left her apartment, he made a plan to return and rob her. When he returned, he said that she let him back in, but when she turned around to lock the door, he grabbed her from behind and attacked her, most likely stabbing her in the chest with a knife. He then took her clothes off to stage it as a sexual crime and not a robbery. He placed the mattress over her and just lit it on fire. After being charged, he decided to plead guilty on February 23rd, 1979, only receiving a 14-year sentence for his cold-blooded murder. He was later released in 1983 on parole. It's just crazy to know that he only served 14 years, but got out on parole in just 4 years. It definitely should have been a longer sentence, but matter of fact, it should have just been life in general. It's just sad that an innocent person had to be killed over a robbery. And the fact that she trusted him because she knew him. I think this is one of those stories that are just mind-blowing. And that is the story of how a woman from the dead solved her own murder. I appreciate you guys if you made it to the end, and let me know in the comments if you guys enjoy these type of videos. Also, let me know what you guys think of the story, because I know this is something that just doesn't seem believable. Make sure you guys like the video and subscribe if you haven't. And with that being said, I'll catch you guys next week in a new video. Peace.